us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning. I forgot to change the titles. So you're seeing an old title. It will not update it correctly online. So I already know that. Maybe it will. Oh, it did it. Well, that's awesome. Thank you, technology. Appreciate that. That's a gift from God. That's a gift from Gad. All right. There we go. All right. Now we're ready to go. But it's Saturday, so not going to probably really see many people. We're doing today's daily reflection. I know we're going to be in the big book somewhere. Get a little bit more light. There we go. All right. Gosh darn it. This book is out of. I just need this part for the next month. There we go. We'll do it that way. For those of you that can't see my daily reflections in like 7 or 8 different pieces. There's like some pages it's all alone, you know, like October 11th, it's all alone, just floating somewhere in the book. I need a new one. But I use it a lot. So because I don't just read it once a day. I use it for here. Sometimes I have to read in meetings. So book's gotten kind of tore up. But it looks like we're going to be in the big book around page 52. And we're also going to talk a little bit about perseverance. There's some things that we deal with that we shouldn't ignore. We shouldn't just give them to God and hope that he's going to take care of everything. That is not how it works. I was trying to get the right green here. We'll just go with that. There we go. That's green enough. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to grab my big book here. You go page 52, which is also where the bedevilments are. The bedevilments. And of course, I'm going to go back a little bit. I think I'm going to start in the middle of page 21. I'm going to check some things here because usually by now I have somebody. It's not even posting to everything anymore. Okay, that's just weird. I'm going to have to check one thing. Unable to connect to raw recovery with DNY. Why? Okay, I'll have to figure that out later. Maybe I have to redo it. So that's part of the reason why. And I'm going to just check something here real quick, make sure that there's not any chat going on. Okay. All right, because sometimes people are here, but it's not showing and the chat doesn't work and la-di-da-di-da. Da. Let's get started. This world of ours has made more material progress in the last century than in all the millenniums which went before. Almost everyone knows this reason. Students of ancient history tell us that the intellect of men in those days was equal to the best of today. And it's true. And it still has not changed. Okay? We have not become more intelligent. We are not There's nothing else that's new. We're not discovering really anything new. All right. Morning, Michelle. It's good to see you. So, but, and I bring this up because a lot of people are coming up with newfangled ways to get and stay sober. Hey, well, you're not any smarter than the people that came before you, even thousands of years ago in ancient times. They're even now discovering that there were people, there was technology before. Well, I'm not going to quite get into all that. My point is that alcoholism has not morphed into some other disease. It has not changed in the last 90 years since this book was written. Nope. All right. Now, progress was kind of slow, but look how fast it showed up. There's a lot of people, when I was growing up, we didn't have microwaves. I didn't even have a dishwasher. We didn't even have a dishwasher. Okay. My lawnmower, a push mower. It was a push mower. And if you let that grass get too long, well, you're fucked. It's going to take you all day. And you better sharpen those blades. I was sharpening those blades when I was like 6, 7 years old, man. So maybe a little bit older. I wasn't quite tall enough to reach it, but now, now when you want to send somebody a message, you can do it automatically. And when it doesn't go through, we get a little upset, don't we? When it ain't working. When I started this, it was the wrong title. And I went and changed it, but thanks to technology, it changed it while I was live. That was kind of cool. Right? So don't try and make your life so convenient that it leads to sloth. Convenience leads to sloth. And the more convenient your life is, the less freedom you have in this world. That has been my experience. Okay. A little off topic there, though. Yet in ancient times, material progress was painfully slow. The spirit of the modern scientific inquiry, research, and invention was almost unknown. In the realm of the material, men's minds were fettered by superstition, tradition, and all sorts of fixed ideas. So the contemporaries of Columbus thought that the round earth preposterous. Others came near putting Galileo to death for his astronomical heresies. All right. Oh, I didn't do introductions. I know it's like 8 minutes in, but I'm going to do it anyway. Welcome to the Daily Trudge, Dion. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Gotta stay consistent, man. We asked ourselves this: are not some of us just as biased and unreasonable about the realm of the spirit as were the ancients about the realm of the material? Even in present century, American newspapers were afraid to print the account of the Wright brothers first successful at Kitty Hawk. Had not all efforts at flight failed before? Did not Professor Langley's flying machine go to the bottom of the Potomac River? Was it not true that the best mathematical minds had proved that man could never fly? Had not people said God had reserved this privilege to the birds? Only 30 years later, the conquest of air was almost an old story, and the airplane travel was in full swing. Yeah. I grew up watching the Jetsons, and almost everything that they had on the Jetsons is done today, except for the flying cars. Right? But even then, that's changed. Now you have hybrid, you have all sorts of ways to be able to get around now, don't you? Yeah. Being able to, I remember watching that, and they're talking to each other on screens like they're right there. So I'm doing that right now. All right. So, but in most fields, our generation has witnessed complete liberation of our thinking Show any longshoreman a Sunday supplement describing a proposal to explore the moon by means of rocket, and he'll say, I bet they do it. Maybe not so long either. And then we did it, didn't we? Yes, they were. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Good to see you. Jetsons were badass. Absolutely, they were. I think, well, they say George Jetson, I think he's like, if it was real, he'd be like 7, 8 years old right now. So something like that. I'd have to go look it up. Right. So, in which case Marty McFly should be around somewhere at this point for any Back to the Future fans, right? I bet they do it. Maybe not so long either. Is not our age characterized by the ease with which we discard old ideas for new, by the complete readiness with which we throw away the theory or gadget which does not work for us for something new which does? We do it all the time. We do it all the time. Look at all the advances made on phones. I remember when phones first came out, we called them brick phones. You're lucky you could call, and it was by satellite too. There weren't these repeaters and other things. It was what was called a satellite phone. All right, and it was huge. It was you carried it in a bag. All right. Now I have my phone, but it's also a flashlight. I play music on it. I'm entertained. My phone is entertainment. Right? It's a convenience. And what happens when you lose your phone? You ever leave the house without your phone on accident? You got to drive back to go get it. Why? What is so inconvenient that you don't have your phone? Can you not go without it? See, because of I believe this, and I know it's a little off topic, because of these conveniences, it has made some of these younger people weak. And I mean physically weak, emotionally weak, mentally weak. When we have to help them create their own imagination, nobody did that for me. I had to do it all by myself, but I wasn't being distracted. I wasn't being, and anybody will post anything on the internet now. I don't give a fuck what you're eating. I don't care. Right? We just want to be entertained. I had to entertain myself growing up, man. I have any friends. I went on adventures and picnics by myself. I mean, you growing up, you went into the woods and had a picnic and stuff. There are no parents around. All right. Anyway, so the process of replacement is quite new. Is not anything new to us, right? But gosh, when it makes makes our life a little bit harder, than we resist. We resist. Right now, there's a lot of fear going on. A lot of fear. People are angry. They're yelling at each other. They think something that they deserve is being taken away from them. All right. So many of you may have read my post. You can call me any name you want. You can call me whatever you want. You can continue yelling and screaming and playing the victim, but I will continue to make my state, my community safer for everyone, even if you hate me. Doesn't bother me because my intention is not based upon your feelings about me. It's a hard place to get to. So anyway, so we had to ask ourselves why we shouldn't apply to our human problems the same readiness to change our point of view. And what we're getting ready to get to, I appreciate that, Sharon. I'm glad you agree with me, absolutely. These are what's called the bedevilments. I'm going to read next. Now, And I'm certainly not here to tick anybody off, okay? But there's no such thing as a functioning alcoholic. That is what I would call an oxymoron, okay? There is no high bottom. There is no low bottom. They don't exist. There is no rock bottom. I'm tired of hearing people say rock bottom. Okay. Well, I high bottom because, you know, I have 2 cars in the garage and da da da. Yeah, but your liver's failing. You're 60 years old and your liver's failing. That I wouldn't consider that a high bottom or anything else. Okay. Materialism does not denote something. It doesn't denote anything. Money can't buy you a higher power. Money can't buy you love. It can't buy you happiness, joy, serenity. It cannot do it. Okay. We all have to find that landing place, and this is where it's at. This is where it's at. So I'm gonna tell you now, most people in AA, 90% of the people in AA are people who didn't go through the yets. Or maybe that would never happen, that their family's not going to leave, or they didn't lose their house or their job. Again, materialism has nothing to do with alcoholism. So stop creating the level. Stop the division. You're no better than anybody else. Here we go. We were having trouble with personal relationships. We couldn't control our emotional natures. We were a prey to misery and depression. We couldn't make a living. We had a feeling of uselessness. All right. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. Was not a basic solution of these bedevilments more important than whether we should see newsreels of lunar flight? Of course it was. Right? I make a difference. I make a big difference. I didn't know it, but I do. I make a big difference. Doesn't cost me any money. Well, it costs me money to do this, but it's not very much. Okay. I haven't needed money. In fact, I'm getting ready to start a meeting, and we're an in-person meeting, and I'm like, okay, rent. And they said, we don't want any. We don't want any rent. He said, we'll just invest it back in you is what we'll do if you do that. So your group might as well make the decision on how you should probably spend that money. That's probably a better idea. And I tend to agree with them. I agree with them. All right. But this is where we all land. This is where we all end up. And this can happen at any age. I felt this way as a teenager. Felt this way in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. Yeah. Okay. These are the things that drive us to alcoholic deaths or suicide. That feeling of being useless. Oh, man. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. All right. So when we saw others solve their problems by simple reliance upon the spirit of the universe, we had to stop doubting the power of God. Our ideas did not work, but the God idea did. So what it's saying is all my best thoughts got me here. And if you think that my best thoughts are going to make it better, no, it's not going to. That is not going to help. I needed God's help. I needed something bigger than me to help me solve my problems because I was screwing them up. I was screwing them up. I was torturing everybody in my life. And the hard part is I couldn't help myself. That was the hard fucking part. You know, I have a lot of knowledge about this disease, and I've had it since I was a teenager. I was a drug and alcohol counselor at the age of 20, before I was legal age to drink. I was working at a high school as a drug and alcohol counselor. I wasn't the main one. I was still too young to know enough to kind of be the main one. But I was able to get through to the high schoolers much better than the person working with me. His name was Bernie. He was a cool dude. He was an awesome boss, man. He was really cool. And he was hip. He was kind of hip, man. He took good care of me. I miss that guy. I hope he's doing well. Yeah. So let's get to the reading and the daily reflection. Like a blind man gradually being restored to sight, I slowly groped my way to the third step. Having realized that only a power greater than myself could rescue me from the hopeless abyss I was in, I knew that this power that I had to grasp, and that it would be by my anchor in the midst of the sea of woes. Even though my faith at the time was minuscule, it was big enough to make me see that it was time for me to discard my reliance on my prideful ego and replace it with a steadying strength that could only come from a power greater than myself. I do a lot of repeating here, right? And I have kids and I have grandkids, and if they need something from me, I don't make hard terms with them. Okay. Well, for me, in the part of the big book, it was He is the Father, we are His children. That was the one that caught my eye. Hey, well, if I apply that, so now if I was to say the man that raised me, if he made hard terms, he made fucking hard terms. But that's his loss at this point, not mine. My biological father, he wanted nothing to do with me. He was 52 years sober. Where was my ninth step? That's a joke, folks. If you expect a ninth step from people, and some people have done that to me, where's my ninth step? You're getting a living amends. I don't go back to my abusers. Okay? It says when to do so, except when to do so, except when it would injure others. I'm an other. I'm one of the others. And if it injures me, no. Because if it injures me, it's going to interfere with my kids, my family, and things like that. So no, 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 no. I'm glad you laughed at that, Sharon. Definition of perseverance.
Here's the definition of perseverance: persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success.
That's us. It's us. Let's repeat that. Doing something despite difficulty or delaying in achieving success. Right? In AA, we call that delayed gratification. You keep putting off drinking. That would be perseverance. You're going through things in life and they're hard, but you get through them without drinking. Instead, you go ahead and face your emotions. Okay. Because I hear a lot of people in meetings talking about they're going through a problem and they're like, I just got to let it go. And that is not the answer. Stand firm. Stand firm in the grace of God and face that problem with courage. Okay. Sometimes when you're sad, you got to let it stay. There's nothing wrong with being sad. There's nothing wrong with being angry. So that actually staying angry is kind of bad for you. That's when I probably let go. But when we have problems, we just can't, God will take care of that. The fuck he will. That's not how that works. You've got to take certain steps. There's action and more action. Faith without works is dead. Okay. There's somebody I was just in a meeting. They're going through. Somebody close to them died, and they were in a car accident. But I know the way the alcoholic mind works, and when I'm in it, I cannot sometimes see the answer. All right. I would agree with that, Sharon. Crying is much better than coping with than doing unhealthy stuff. abusing our bodies with alcohol. Absolutely. I would agree with that. Sometimes actually crying is healthy. It is. I cry all the darn time. Right? Usually because I'm grateful, but it's still an emotion. I get so excited I cry, or I get so happy I cry. I get filled with love and I cry. I see something sad, it kind of makes me cry. It's hard for me to see sometimes, but I don't avoid it. I don't try and shield myself from the cruel, cruel world out there. No, Dion had to do some work on himself, man. He had to persevere through some things. And I do it loudly. I do it so everybody can see. And it's mostly for my kids and my grandkids so that they can say, oh, I saw Grandpa go through that. Right. Now, the hard part is somebody brought that up in an AA meeting. Everybody's like, well, we're not lawyers. We're not doctors. We're not. But, you know, if you have experience, you have experience. And my suggestions were these. Get a therapist. And I gave some suggestions on where to find a therapist. Overcomers Counseling, if you're in Colorado. Great place. Great place. And I said, as far as your car accident goes, I'm like, call Frank Azar, man. I know it sounds silly, but it'd probably be the easiest way for you to start to get that taken care of. That is the process, right? And we can remind people that there are things that you might need to do in order to get that done. But we don't always see it. We don't always hear it when we're in the moment. So stop letting people flounder in the darn program and encourage them. I didn't tell them what to do. I just shared my experience. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to do that. Well, I don't want to crosstalk. Encouragement is not crosstalk. They came and asked for help, and you're going to get tight-lipped. Nah, I ain't going to join in on that one. Here's the new one. Your unpaid Easy Pass lane toll must be settled by March 15th. Don't buy into that. It's a scam. They don't do it that way. Okay. What are ways that I can use perseverance? Model it. Be an example. I would agree with that. That's the best way to do it. All right. What does Yoda say? There is no try, only do. So stop trying to persevere and do it. Just do it. Is it going to be scary? Yes, change is scary. There's change going on in the United States right now. Everybody's scared. Right? And what it does is it creates lies. Right? I've seen some things that people are like, this is what's going to happen. And I go look it up and it's just not true. It's just not true. Right? Set clear goals. Right? What's the best way to set clear goals? Go to therapy. Therapists can help you with that. Right? Encourage yourself. Give yourself a pep talk. These are not things that I would. What are 5 ways you can show perseverance? Let's try that. Recall past perseverance. You haven't been to Oklahoma? I went to Oklahoma once. I don't know why we're talking about Oklahoma. Maybe I said something about it. Here's it. How can you use perseverance? That's more one. Organize oneself to support activities. They're not getting 3 examples of perseverance. Yeah. All right. What are the 4 objectives of perseverance? I got to do something. Perseverance is also studying the evolution of Mars' climate surface. I think we're off here. How does one gain perseverance? We'll get the right question. Oh, a toll charge. Okay, got it. Got it. That makes sense. Did you mean how to gain perseverance? Look at the right question on a toll charge. Okay, got it. How do you gain perseverance? Here we go. Be professional and stay the course. Perseverance requires professionalism and giving it time. I don't know what they mean by professional. So patience, prospect consistently, deliver. They're not on the right thing. So, all right. Well, I tried to dig into that, didn't quite work. In my book, perseverance is not necessarily, you don't do it alone. You don't have to do perseverance by yourself. Sometimes the company of others and God in our lives can help us, give us enough courage to be able to walk through those things. But you don't have to do it by yourself. Mm-mm. In fact, I would recommend going through perseverance with other people. And it's a lot more enjoyable, right? Because then you got inside jokes, you can screw around, right? Because that laughter will certainly help you persevere. That I know. No. I'd say my biggest perseverance lately was getting off 120 milligrams of duloxetine. Took me 10 months. That sucked. All right. That's been it. I think I'm going to close this one up. So thank you, everybody, for being here. It's always good to see you. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And have a day.